I had to cut up my Harley Quinn mallet for transport, and I was looking at it and watching that one episode of Futurama where Bender was made out of wood and was all like, he's 40% Harley mallet. So today I'm making wooden Bender. It's gonna be fun on a bun. For this build, I'm gonna need wooden dowels, wine corks, beige EVA foam, hot glue and contact cement, an oatmeal container, and I assume some hinges. Also all these things. Guys, I've done this list literally 200 times. If you don't recognize any of these tools, just check out any of those other videos. First off, the Harley mallet was a little bit too tall, so I cut off one end. Then I got rid of the little nub that was left of the handle and cut the door of Bender's compartment. Then I cut a circle and glued it in there. That hole is really obvious, so I'm going to turn it into a tree notch by gluing in scrap foam and covering it in quick seal. Next, I made the head out of an oatmeal container wrapped in foam. I really need this to hold up to tension, so I'm using contact cement on this seam. Oh, and there's a strip in there because I made a mistake while measuring, so you know, that's literally a case of measure twice, cut once gone wrong. I added a wooden texture to the head by drawing lines with a Sharpie that kinda matched the cartoon, and then tracing them with my rotary tool. I tried to match the cartoon as closely as I could, but you know, it's animation. He's different from shot to shot. I put beige foam all over the inside to look like a tree, and I used hinges for hinges. Now that that part's basically done, I'm going to work on the visor. I cut this piece out of foam, traced where the curve of the head was going to be, and sanded away the pattern with my rotary tool. If you have access to a belt sander, that would work way better for this part. I heated up the foam and bent it into a visor shape, then left it in a vise to cool. After it had cooled, I took it out of the vise and glued the ends together with contact cement. I test fitted it into the head to see if it was going to look right. Also, at some point, I cut a mouth hole. I forgot to film that. I sealed the visor in Plastidip. I cut a circle for the top of Bender's head. I got some notches in it to match the cartoon. Then I painted it and left it to dry. I put a wooden dowel through the stump towards the top end to support the shoulders and the legs, but that part's for later. I made these shoulder pieces out of scrap from the head and parts of the stump that I cut off earlier. Oh, and I used a cork as the cupboard handle. I know I'm hot gluing it here, but that didn't hold at all, so I went back in with the wood screw. Also, at some point, I spray painted the visor sort of gloss gray, and then once the paint on the head was dry, I attached it with contact cement and hot glue. Both of them sorcery! For Bender's mouth, I cut some plastic from a soda bottle and stuck it in there. Then I painted the inside of the visor black and reheat formed it into that sort of rounded rectangle that it is on the show. That's an advantage of Plastidip as a sealant. You're still able to heat form it to an extent after it's cured. I cut a neck hole in the bottom, then I drew his teeth onto a sheet of paper and taped it in with gaff tape. Then I cut some squares out of craft foam and glued them onto styrofoam balls that I'm using for his eyes. And for the antenna, I whittled a stick that I found in the yard. I glued it to the top of his head and then took a break to watch Once Upon a Time in the West on an ancient TV. But I don't care because it's Once Upon a Time in the West and that's an amazing movie. Oh man, I love me my spaghetti westerns. Now for the legs. I drilled holes in the wooden dowels and widened them until they fit onto the narrow dowel. Then I cut holes in the bottom and stuck it all together. I hid the internal supports with more beige foam. I painted them brown and let them dry. For the feet, I drew strips onto a sheet of beige foam and used my rotary tool to make it look like tree bark. Then I cut out the strips and glued them around two foam circles that are the same diameter as coffee can lids. I painted the outside dark brown and set the feet aside to dry. Then I made the bottom of the feet out of wood. Hey Jake, why are you pulling that ironing board out of the trash? I don't know. Maybe because I don't like paying for something that literally grows on trees? No garbage is safe from prop makers. So the bottom of the feet have to be made out of wood, otherwise Bender's gonna fall over. I attached them with wood screws and then slid the tree bark coverings over them. Okay, now for the arms. I made those out of remnants of the Harley mallet handle and old corks. I didn't have enough scrap bark left for both hands, so I made some more. I made the fingers out of corks and wooden skewers. I did a test fitting just to make sure that would look right. I took them out again when I painted the hand. I did the same thing for the other hand. I painted them both and set them in various places to dry.
Okay, so these are dried overnight. That's a lie. They haven't, because this paint is the worst. But you can see it's backlit, so no, you can't see. There you go. One shiny because it was sealed with white glue, and the other is not shiny because the foam absorbed the paint. So in order to get the not shiny texture, I have to sand everything.
I cut up the corks in the arm segments so that they made notches that fit together to make elbows. For the shoulders, I drilled holes in the dowel and cut up a sponge brush handle so that it would fit inside those holes, kind of like a little axle. I cut holes in the PVC so that it would all fit together like so. Oh, by the way, the new paint came out super glossy, so I sanded that back to a matte finish with sandpaper. The elbows are held together with pieces of a chopstick. I created a tree ring pattern on all of the exposed beige foam areas with my rotary tool and door knives. I quickly reheat formed the door and the body so that the edge lined up, and there we go, wooden bender. He's a witch! Burn him! Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Check out the Patreon page if you want to help me make more videos. Let me know what you think I should make next. Oh, you know what? Let me know what's your favorite Futurama robot besides Bender. And yeah, that's it. Jake out.